Hey guys, Kevin the Comic Doctor coming to you today, and as I promised a few days ago, I wanted to put a video together to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yes, I love my comic books, but I also absolutely love my comic book movies and television shows. And I didn't want to come on here and just blabber on for God knows how long by myself, so I invited an old friend by, and his name is Adam SIKORA, and Adam is actually to blame. He's the man to blame for me doing this today because he was the guy who got me into comic books way back in 1985. That's a story for another day. But Adam knows his comic books really well. He's still an avid comic book fan to this day. You can actually, he has some podcasts out there. I can have Adam tell you about that in a second, where you can hear him discuss comic books on another podcast. But without further ado, let me get my cameras rolling here and introduce Adam. Hello, Adam. Welcome to this new show that has no name yet.
Hey, Kevin.
So
thanks for having me. Happy Easter. And yeah, time to go down memory lane a bit, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks for popping by. I've been wanting to have you on this show because, I mean, when I think comic books, there's only a handful of guys that really know their stuff, and you are one of those people. You were like the encyclopedia, one of the encyclopedias of the comic book world. And
Free internet.
What's that? Read internet, yeah.
Free internet.
That's right. Why look it up on Google? I just call you up. It's a lot easier. So we're here to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I assume you've seen it. We've talked a little bit about it. So first question, what'd you think so far?
So far,
Yeah.
so good. And I enjoyed WandaVision, and from what I've heard you say about it, I think you did as well. Well, the majority of fans who've been wanting to get their MCU fix have. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier, kind of more of just a return to good old straight up on-screen MCU action.
Mm-hmm.
With knowing that Winter Soldier and Sam Wilson the Falcon were the leads, not a surprise. And so far, every episode with the sequences in them, they've delivered. I've been pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, talking about WandaVision, I did like WandaVision. I said in previous videos that I wasn't too happy with all the baloney, misdirects or the Easter eggs that went absolutely nowhere. And honestly, WandaVision did not have a lot of the action that we're used to seeing in, say, movies like Civil War or The Winter Soldier, any of those types of movies. So yeah, we're finally getting back to that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And yeah, it has been quite an action-packed ride so far. And we're talking about episodes 1, 2, and 3 today. Can I ask, what are some of your favorite moments specifically in the first three episodes?
Well, like I said, unashamedly liking my action choreography. That opening sequence where Falcon takes on, for those who recognized him, the return of Georges St. Pierre as Batroc the Leaper.
Batroc, yes.
I've said in other comments I've made about the Falcon that this is a rare case, in my opinion, where the MCU interpretation of a character is actually better and a lot more satisfying than the comic book version. Just the combination of his aerial combat with his flying, but in the movies he also happens to have a lot of firearms, and now he's merged some Stark tech into that, having hooked up with the Avengers. He just seems like a bit more of a heavier hitter than a guy who was Cap's sidekick, who happened to have a set of wings and would do the aerial reconnaissance and had a link with a regular Falcon named Redwing versus this AI tech that flies off his back and is essentially his right hand when he's taking care of business.
Wow, his stock value definitely went up. That's for darn sure. Like the stock value of the Falcon. I to me, in all the movies leading up to this, I always found him dissatisfying. He was just kind of on the side. But that, like you said, that opening sequence in episode number 1 was breathtaking, and the choreography, the filming of it, what have you, was awesome. So again, like I said, stock value straight up. Really enjoyed that. How about the whole where you have the Falcon doing all these crazy flight scenes, what have you? We have kind of more of a slower start with Bucky and the Winter Soldier, where backwards more of an introspective look on his character. Nice juxtaposition, you think?
Well, the flip there is, especially coming off his time as the Winter Soldier, you'd expect Bucky to be more of the hothead jumping into something, but this in a post-Cap world, he's introspective, and he's really trying to figure out. I don't know how you can atone for people you killed, whether that was through programming or not, but essentially find a way to come to terms with it and be at peace with it, so that he can just continue his new, better life, doing good in the world, versus following orders for other people's agenda, which usually involve killing one or more people.
Yeah, my favorite part of this whole, all three episodes thus far is their interaction. I love their interaction. It's got that I guess a kind of lethal weapon feel to it. It's been compared to that in the past.
Superhero buddy comedy.
Yeah, and I love that their relationship with each other, going all the way back to Civil War. The part where they're in that little car and they're tight in there and they're watching Captain America make out with Sharon Carter and they're like looking at them and they're hilarious together. They really work well together. That being said, we now have a new Captain America who's shown up. With Wyatt Russell, son of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, now taking on the mantle of Captain America. What did you think of that first image of him with the mask on? Do you think Mr. Russell wears the costume well? Because he got a lot of flack for that. What do you think of him?
Well, I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here. So anyone who's familiar with Wyatt Russell as an actor, that you just told us his lineage, as Kurt Russell's son, and he's also continuing the family business there, because if for those of you who recall and follow the MCU as a whole, we know that Kurt Russell was Ego the Living Planet.
That's right.
In the second Guardians of the Galaxy, so that family's not hurting for Disney and Marvel paychecks. Nope. But if you're familiar with Wyatt's IMDb sheet, he's kind of been rocking the big hipster beard for a long time, and it looks good on him. That's the family genes, nice and rugged.
Yeah.
In fact, before he got cast as the new Cap, in the back of my mind, a dream casting of mine was to have him, if Marvel did another series of shows a la Netflix, if they were to do Werewolf by Night and base it from the original source material, the guy who turns into the werewolf is a guy whose name happens to be Jack Russell. So he already has the right last name. And with that scruff and the longer hair, and if they actually said it in the 70s, I thought that could be pretty damn cool with the retro soundtrack and the look, and then seedier LA from back in the day.
So you actually fan casted Wyatt Russell as the Werewolf by Night before he was cast as Captain America? Really? Wow, that's pretty impressive.
But to answer your original question, commenting on him as the U.S. agent, so he obviously had to shave the beard, and I'm wondering if that beard was to hide that chin. He doesn't quite have
a chin.
He doesn't quite have the same heroic Chris Evans Captain America chin. And we're not just saying a chin makes the hero. And maybe that's intentional for that whole message of nobody's gonna fill Steve Rogers' shoes. We're still learning more about the character now and how he's going to be portrayed in the show. So I can't say overall thumbs up or thumbs down on that. But I'll also give a shout out to the guy cast as his new partner, the actor Clay Bennett. happens to be Canadian,
Nice.
and this guy has a big body of good work.
I know there have been some good opportunities for him to be called Bucky in front of the original Bucky. I thought maybe it would have made for some pretty funny moments, but they
Yes.
didn't choose to call him Bucky.
Well, a little bit of comic history pre 2021, when we're having a lot of political correctness, corrections, apologies, etc. So in the original storyline, where the new Captain America is given the mantle, his partner is given the old World War II Bucky costume, and takes on the name of Bucky.
That's right. I remember that. Yep.
But in the good old letters column, when that was still a big forum for communication with a lot of the fans, it was coming up that the term Bucky for a black man in during the World War II era was pretty derogatory.
Right.
So it's not an honor to have a black man stepping into the role of Captain America's sidekick, carrying on that name. So a few issues later, Marvel took care of that. They redesigned a costume for him, more along the lines of what you're seeing being worn in the show, and took on a lot more palatable name of Battlestar.
Battlestar, yes.
So you still have that Stars and Stripes working with Captain America thing going on, but without the offensiveness.
And he seems to be the kind of the moral compass for John Walker right now. Right now,
I thought I was seeing some glimmers of the new Captain America, John Walker, starting to possibly fly off the handle a little bit,
yep.
like losing control. And I don't know if that's going to boil down to the whole, with all of these flag smashers who apparently have a super soldier variant in them already. If something is going to come back, well, it's comics, the classic story arc. If it's going to come back to bite them in the ass, and all of a sudden there's going to be some horrible accelerated side effects, people straight up going crazy. So once again, it comes down to Cap's original friends, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we're going to see how long he's going to keep being called Winter Soldier, because as cool as that name sounds, that's his name from when he was a programmed assassin.
That's right.
So I've seen some guesses that he might go with what the kids called him when he was doing some rehab in Wakanda.
Oh, the wolf.
They were jokingly calling him the White Wolf because he was possibly the first white man a lot of these Wakandan kids had seen. But that kind of has a cool moniker vibe going with it, and maybe he's going to switch to that.
But on episode 3, he did mention, he says, I'm going to get that shield back. Do you think maybe he becomes Captain America?
Well, we saw in the preview that Sam was working out with it, throwing it around into some trees on some property somewhere.
Yes.
And Bucky with his arm should be able to handle it as well. I think it becomes one of those things where then that's why he had no problem when Steve handed the shield to Sam at the end of Endgame, without any of I knew you first, I knew you better, why isn't it me? It's still that business of him mentally and morally paying the price for what he's done. He might not think he's worthy to carry it, but he'd be very satisfied if someone who knew and worked with Cap and who was picked by Cap to carry that shield before he decided he thought he'd hand it back to the government, he'd be happy with someone else carrying it and doing a good job. And then that becomes a nod to in the comics a few years back where Falcon did take on the Captain America moniker, and his costume was altered to have more of a Stars and Stripes color scheme.
Right.
And he was still flying around carrying the shield.
What about Mr. Brule, who returns as Zemo? Did you like seeing that purple mask? Because I sure did.
I like what that mask symbolizes,
Yeah.
but how did you feel about how it looked in the real world, so to speak? Because to me, it's, even though it's still made of a plasticky rubber type substance, it looks like a glorified purple ski mask to me.
Yeah. I had more of a problem though with that outfit he was wearing, the big, you know, the kind of the trench coat he was wearing with the big fur around it. That was kind of.
Yeah. So how much of that is coming as a need to pay homage to the Zemo lineage? I don't know. Maybe with a few more episodes, he's going to streamline or update
Did you catch how they actually?
what he's
Did
wearing.
you catch how they updated his character? Like when we saw Age of Ultron, he was like this pathetic man whose family was tragically killed. Excuse me, in Sokovia. And at the end, he tried. He kept calling the answering machine to hear his wife and his children. And then he was going to off himself, and then Black Panther stops him. And no, we're not through with you yet. But then
Yeah.
in this episode, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I've got a private jet, and I'm rich, and I can do martial arts, and I can fight as good as Captain America. They totally upgraded his character completely in this episode. I had a problem with his escape too. I didn't understand how he escaped. Like I don't know how like I know that Bucky kind of, sorry, not Bucky, Winter Soldier got the ball rolling, but then how did he get out of his cell? I still don't understand that. I saw him had a key card or something. Was that how he did it? I don't know. It just seemed really convenient. I didn't care for that.
Well, when we're playing at this level, it almost seems like getting someone out of a prison when they say they've got to do that, because we've seen a few jailbreaks in MCU films. It's a box that's going to get checked. They're not really going to run into problems, and then they're not even going to worry about breaking down all the fine details for you. It's got to get them. We'll get them.
I didn't even want to see. I didn't even want to see any of it though. I would have preferred them skip over that whole part. You know, when Bucky hands that inmate, he's going to kill you tonight, and then he starts that big distraction fight. I think it would have been much better if they had a connection. They kind of had an understanding, and next thing you know, Bucky's telling Sam that I'm going to bust him out, and he appears. I would have preferred that than that silly kind of half-ass breakout. That.
Well, and it would have been on brand with the character. This just the guy who always got shit done.
Right.
Did it again. Don't ask any questions.
I don't need to see it. Don't show it to me.
Yeah.
And that to me is why this is. I don't know if you're gonna agree with me on this one or not. I felt WandaVision had this, and I feel that this show almost seems like a souped up. You're gonna hate when I say this. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit. It reads as television. It doesn't read as. Don't get me wrong. Like that opening, Falcon, flight in the first. Yeah, that was awesome. And there were some other, fights that were pretty awesome and scenes. But overall, the writing and the feel of the show, it screams TV to me. Which I go, it's TV. I guess it's okay. But is it gonna diminish the MCU as a whole afterwards? And WandaVision as well. I felt like it was kind of MCU light. They both have. I like them both, but they just don't seem to have that. I don't know. Am I crazy?
No, that's fair. And yes, these were made as television shows, but with the budget they have, and Marvel Cinematic Universe fans waiting for more movies, when Black Widow actually drops,
July,
everyone's gonna double check to make sure that's really happening.
Yep.
It's been pushed back so many times. We're all expecting a little more with these little samples we're getting with characters we know and with power sets that we know and the grade of villain they usually fight. Because I never really got into the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Good for you.
And
waste of time.
That was one of my reasons. It wasn't Inhumans bad, and they did acknowledge stuff going on in the MCU, but it's a placeholder while I'm waiting to see what the actual MCU characters I want to see in action are doing.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything. It was terrible. The first few episodes were not bad, but it was really, really not good. And the writing wasn't good at all. And I think it's better in these Disney shows, but I still feel there's a, I don't know, they just read me MCU light. It's just not, they're not bringing to it what I think the movies bring. Maybe they can't. Maybe I'm expecting too much from it. I don't know. But oh, how about that Isaiah, the Isaiah character, the Black Captain America? I don't remember reading much about him when I was buying comics feverishly back in the 80s and 90s. Can you fill people in on where he fits in this whole scheme of things, and where do you see this character going in the series, you think?
Well, with the introduction we got to him, I jogged my memory, but I haven't went back into the boxes and pulled out the storyline from the late 80s. But the way it played out, if I recall correctly, it was almost like a Marvel Universe version of the infamous real life Tuskegee Airmen tests,
Right.
that were run on a bunch of African American soldiers during wartime. So, but instead of injecting them with syphilis and other nasty things in the MCU, while they're trying to recreate the super soldier serum while Captain America is still missing in the ice somewhere. Yeah, it's one of those, we're not going to talk about it out loud, but hey, we've got a test version of the serum. Let's try it out on some of our black soldiers first and make sure it's okay.
Right.
And then if there's any side effects or whatever, we'll stay quiet about that and disavow that any of this happened. So in this case, with Isaiah Bradley, and you can see that he's got a chip on his shoulder.
A big chip, yeah, for sure.
It's that would be pretty cool if we actually get some flashback sequences showing a Black Captain America in action a few decades ago. But it sounds like he's probably showing some restraint there, because I'm going to guess he still at least has a percentage of his enhanced abilities. But it doesn't look like he lost it mentally or anything. So we're going to have to see. And then it looked like, was that his grandson that let them in the house?
We don't know. What, it was his grandson,
or it was just some neighborhood kid looking after him?
Did I hear?
But let's make a logical jump and say that that's a relation somewhere, and something that's been chemically introduced to someone's system could arguably have been passed down.
Another young Avenger, maybe.
A young Avenger. If we want to go down that rabbit hole, or save that for another time, he could be that young Avenger character. I forget his name right now, but he kind of leads them, and he's like a younger version of Captain America.
Well, episode number 1 deals with reintroduction to Bucky and the Falcon. We see them, what they're doing after the blip, and how they're coping and what they're doing. We find out all about that. Episode 2. They come together. They start going on this little adventure. They find out through Falcon's, I guess, associate, that there's these guys called the Flag Smashers, or super soldiers. They want to put a stop to it. And, of course, Bucky wants to put a stop to it, too, because he knows what can happen with that. We also meet, like I said, the Isaiah character in that episode, which is taking us in another direction. Now, episode 3, they go to Zemo to find out if Hydra has any intel that can help them locate the base, or who has been behind this creation of this new super soldier serum. This is a cool episode, one, because we get to see Zemo do things he's never done before, like fight, wears purple mask, which you're not too crazy about, and that's fine. We also get to go to we get to go to 2 different places. One, Madripoor, to, now I'm forgetting, Dr. Doom's hometown or country.
Latveria.
Latveria, right? Where we see both of these places. So, Adam, are we going to see Victor Von Doom in this? Are we going to see Logan in Madripoor? Probably not.
Well,
What do you think?
I don't want to pick on WandaVision.
Yeah.
But
So that was
because we just wrapped that up. That's already two things that Falcon and the Winter Soldier have done that WandaVision wasn't able to do. So when the X-Men universe Pietro was introduced, everyone got excited because we're like, okay, we're finally going to start blending these now that Disney has the rights to that. Mm-hmm. But then it just turns out to be that schlub actor who was hired to be her brother.
Yeah.
But so this is arguably the first true X-Men universe crossover because, as you mentioned, and anyone who followed any of Wolverine's solo series, in one of those, he, for whatever reason, when he needs to blow off steam from the X-Men, he takes off to this seedy, imagined country in Asia that has all of the bad elements that we know of different ones in real life. And he hangs out under a different identity. He calls himself Patch. And his big disguise is throwing an eye patch. Still looking pretty distinctly
with the hair,
like Logan
with the hair
does.
And everything, right? But just a patch.
With the hair and a cigar and a bad attitude and popping his claws at the drop of a hat. But we're being introduced to this this city from the X-Men universe, and then the other thing that Falcon and Winter Soldier has done better in episode 3. WandaVision got everyone so excited for what was supposed to be a big MCU character reveal in the final episode, and that's probably the internet getting greedy, and everybody's after the payoff of the Luke Skywalker being shown in the final episode of The Mandalorian. People were expecting something of that level. It never came together. But here, at the end of episode 3, Mr. Barnes is out alone in the street and picks up some tracer devices. And who do we see in the final shot? But the head of the Wakandan Guard, Okoye. Mm-hmm. And she's very interested in unfinished business with Zemo.
Was it Okoye?
I thought it was.
No,
wasn't it?
I don't think it was Okoye. It was one of the Dara Milaje, you're right. It was one of the Guard, but it wasn't Okoye, I don't think. Yeah, so a lot of potential fun things coming down the pipes for us. Whether they act on it or they're just going to name drop now and let it percolate for a little while. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. I don't think we're going to see, we're not going to see, what's his name? We're not going to see Victor Von Doom pop up. We're not going to see Logan. I heard actually somebody say that maybe Logan is the, who's that? The big guy in Madripoor? They're looking for now.
The Power Broker.
The Power Broker. I know in the comics he's not.
No,
he's a totally different person. There's two different dudes who played the Power Broker, but some people are saying that Sharon Carter is actually the Power Broker, or Logan. That won't be Logan, but I've heard them say that.
Well, we haven't mentioned Sharon Carter yet, and giving her a bit of love.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It was fun to see her in action. And in the Captain America movies, she's always proven herself to be a capable ally. Probably got squeezed for screen time because there's just so much going on with so many characters in those movies. So it was nice to have her back in the ring. There's this talk I've also heard where she might be the Power Broker.
Okay, you heard that also.
And there is something a little... a few degrees off.
Uh-oh.
So is this her? Is it somebody pretending to be her? Because we've also had this business where a promise that we're supposed to get teasers of the next phase of the MCU finally taking care of the Skrull secret invasion business.
Okay.
That could be too heavy and deep.
Well,
Maybe her time in hiding. It's that whole, like, when undercover cops. So some of them eventually cross the line, and some of them have a hard time coming back. Maybe she's just went a little bad in her time away,
well,
and it might take some friends to bring her back
if they can,
she is
if they can, right? So yeah, so she's gonna turn to a baddie for sure. I got a pretty good feeling about that. As far as where the show is going to go, again, I don't think we're gonna be, because these are like miniseries, like the comics had the miniseries back when we were kids. I see it being like these standalone stories that just, you might get little mentions here and there, but they're not going to give us, again, a Luke Skywalker moment. I'm convinced they won't, unless they've tricked us, made us think we were going to get it last time. We didn't get it, and then we're going to get it now. But I don't think so. I think it's going to be a standalone story. They're going to drop some names. They're going to use those names in some of the upcoming films, and that's pretty much it. Moving forward, though, I'm not sure what to expect. It's really an open book to me. I hope they jump in, like you said, with more of Isaiah's story. They'll finish up this whole Flag Smasher business, and then I guess they'll be on their way. But other than that, I'm not sure. Any ideas where you think the story's going to go, or any predictions?
I'm just enjoying the ride, but adding one more to I'm pretty sure won't happen, even though that would be a crazy level of fan service. There's been a few times in the comics where, for whatever reason, Steve Rogers, as the original Captain America, either had the super soldier serum taken out of him, or finally was aged up to what his natural age would be, as someone who was alive during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But those always get resolved. And he's returned to a hale and hearty young Captain America, younger, and picks up the shield again. And all the heroes who love and respect him are happy to have him back and fall in line with him leading the Avengers or whoever. So some people have thought, wouldn't that be cool if old Steve Rogers from Endgame is restored somehow with all this serum floating around, and Captain America rejoins the Marvel Universe. As much as I'd love to see that, I'm pretty sure Chris Evans is done with playing the part. So I don't think they would, a la Doctor Who, a new Doctor showing up, all of a sudden just have some young.
I disagree. I disagree there 100%. There's no way Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. will not come back. They're both going to come back as Iron Man and as, I think, Captain America. And I heard, again, through some of my, I heard that Evans already signed a 3-picture deal. Now, Kevin Feige came out last week and said it never happened, but about a month or two ago, Chris Evans actually did come out. So he'll be back in some way, shape, or form. And as for Robert Downey Jr., look what happened with that Dr. Doodle, man. He got the best Razzie of the Year award for that one. He's going to want the love again. He'll be back as Tony Stark. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they'll do it. He's too awesome. He's two of the best parts of the MCU right there, and they're gone. So they got to come back, But
well, the hook there is, I mean, I agree absolutely that those faces are automatically connected to those parts now. Unfortunately, in the real world, these gents are aging.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Robert Downey Jr., I believe, is at this point 55, 56 years old. So how long can he, I mean, well, we've got the tech, but how long? How long can they play it realistically?
No, you're right.
As much as we love their particular characterization.
I know.
That's the problem.
I think they're going to bring him back for one last hurrah, anyways, and maybe get rid of him again. They're going to have to, or reboot everything. I don't know. How can you? I just Iron Man and Captain America are so important. But I kind of like what you said too about you don't think they're going to put other people in those roles. I kind of like the whole James Bond way of looking at it, where you have one guy play the role for 5 or 6 movies or 7 movies or however long, and then their contract's up, but they bring in a new person to play it, and I don't mind that either. That way, it keeps it going. Otherwise, you have no choice. They're all going to outage those characters, right?
Well, and even though it had nothing to do with age, lending some weight to that argument is, we're on our 3rd Spider-Man, and everyone knows and has good and bad things to say about each of them, but no one really has a problem with that.
No. They're all different universes, mind you. Yeah. The only person I think in the MCU that changed over was Don Cheadle, right? As what's his name? War Machine, Rhodey. He was originally played by, what's his name? I forget now. I had it.
And the actor too.
Yeah, I had it and I just lost it. It's not coming back. I'm not going to even think about it. But yeah, he was in it for
Terrence something.
Terrence Howard.
Anyway, sounds right.
Yeah. He was pissed off when he lost that role too. He wanted that role. He didn't want to leave. It just didn't work out for him. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Also, Edward Norton. What am I talking about? Edward Norton and Mark Ruffalo, right? So it can be done. I mean, but I know Iron Man character and Captain America have been developed so much more, and we've come to love those characters so deeply in those actors in those roles. So it's going to be hard to let it go, but I think it's possible. Anyways, I think we should we're up almost to an hour now, so let's end this. And hey, I want to say thanks for popping by, Adam. Maybe we'll come back and do episodes 4 to 6. We'll finish it off. We'll just do 2 episodes and talk about how it ends and what we think about it at that point. But in the meantime, if anybody wants to maybe, how can anybody get a hold of you on social media if they want to say hi? I can pop it in the information section below. But do you have a Twitter account or Instagram or?
If you want to give me a shout with any questions or comments about today's chat or comics in general, you can find me at AdamSikora71 on Twitter.
Twitter, okay, excellent.
And I've also jumped in for some podcasts that appear on another friend of ours, Andrew Young's Geek Hard Show website. These little sidecasts are called Back Issue Bloodbath, where we talk about different runs of issues and characters from the recent and longer past. And I've guest hosted with him on ones about no Marvel here. We're stepping out of that realm. The Legion of Superheroes, source material from Valiant issues of Bloodshot, some of which was used for the Vin Diesel film, which came and went last year, and a run of the first story arc of Starman by DC Comics in the late 90s, which I'll give a free plug to right now. If you're looking for something to read in COVID times, that's just a great series. 85 issues, not a lot to track down either. But
all right, well, thanks. Okay, so again, I'll put Adam's Twitter account info in the information section below, and I'll also put a link to if I can find the actual podcast for Back Issue Bloodbath, I'll put that down there as well. So again, thanks, Adam, for coming out.
Thank you. Have a good one, everybody.
All right. Well, okay, there you have it, guys. So that's our breakdown of episodes 1 to 3 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I guess so far, 2 thumbs up. There we go. Please do remember to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Until next time, my friends, you keep reading them comic books. We'll talk to you again another time. Bye now.